Hello and welcome back to the Go for Two podcast, and welcome into our Week 6 preview. I'm Liam, your host, and as always, I'm joined by the man lagging behind in the predictions. Is of course everyone's favourite / only Eagle fan they like is of course Patrick. How you doing, mate?
I'm all right. Yeah, I am lagging behind this year. I've not got an handle of the spread, to be honest. I think it's because I don't think anyone's very good. Everyone's terrible, but no one's very good, and I think I haven't quite married that up yet.
There's a lot of one-win teams. There's a lot of 3.5 spreads as well today, so we'll see how you get on. But the scores on the doors are 43-36 for me. So it's not actually been a great season for both of us overall. We're a few points ahead. Both of us were last season. We're late 40s mid 40s. Sorry, both of us were by this point. So we're lagging behind. So we need a good week 6. We've got a better slate of games this week to talk about than what we did last week. We've got another London game. Good Sunday night football game. The dreaded Monday night football doubleheader for anyone that wants to try and stay up and watch.
Week 6, that's a disgrace, by the way, but we won't get into that.
And they're only, whatever it is, 45 minutes apart. They're not back to back either, which just seems silly, but there we go. And as always, we're going to pick every game against the spread, and we've got 4 or 5 games we're going to spend a bit more time on. And we're going to go in order. So we're going to start on Thursday Night Football. We've got Patrick's Eagles at the Giants. Eagles are favoured on the road by 6.5. Now, by the time this comes out, most people would have already probably listened or close to watching this game, So we're not going to spend a load of time on this. But I'm last week's winner, so I get to pick the spread first. Not the most fun game with how these two teams looked last week. Thursday Night Football was always a bit ugly, so I'm not sure how it's going to go for Jackson Dart. But I'm going to pick Eagles minus 6.5 on the road. I didn't think Dart looked great last week, but I'm sure he'll look better as the season goes on. But yeah, I think this will be a get-right game for the Eagles, and they'll win by double digits.
Better win by double digits, put it that way. I'm, of course, going the Eagles on the spread, but I reckon this is going to be dead ugly, to be honest. You can't, you're getting into week 6, Thursday Night Football. There's injuries on both teams. I think this will look quite ugly. I think Saquon's carrying an injury, by the way. He's not looking as explosive, anywhere near as explosive as he did last season. So it'll be interesting to see. AJ Dillon looked pretty good when he's getting his carries. So I think we might see more of a heavy dose of that. But I'm going Eagles, obviously. I'll take 5-1. I'll take a 1-point victory tonight and go with 5-1.
1-point victory at the death.
Have a rest for 10 days. It would be a nice little break.
Yeah, total's 41 as well. So Vegas thinks it's going to be a bit of a messy, low-scoring game compared to others. On to Sunday then, and we are, of course, in London again. I assume this is this a Spurs game again? This isn't the Wembley.
Spurs again this week. Resale prices are coming down, by the way, but they're not. They're still not at a reasonable price.
Not at a level that's going to get Patrick parting with his money just yet. And the game is Broncos at Jets in London. 9:30 a.m. start Eastern, so I'm sure all the Jets fans are going to love starting their Sunday morning watching the Jets after how they've played the last few weeks. And we've got a big spread. So we've got Broncos favoured in London by 7.5 points. So it is a big spread. Obviously, Jets are 0-5. Broncos started the season slow, but have looked pretty good the last 2 weeks. So they're kind of coming up. Feels like a big game, weirdly, for the Jets. You know, the London game traditionally doesn't go great for bad teams. Coaches often don't survive London games. I think Aaron Glenn obviously will. But still, there's a lot of Jets fans selling their tickets. There's a lot of discontent in podcasts about maybe how the defense is played. Where are you at with this Jets team and what this game means to the program?
What can you say? It could be a small reset, but you shouldn't be resetting with a brand new head coach after 5 weeks in the NFL. I saw an alarming stat. I don't know if you've seen it this week about, remember my Penix stat from the other week about the 7 points thing that he's got rid of now, but the Fields is 0 for 26 when the opposition scores 21 points. That's startling, isn't it? I actually can't believe that that's true. That's almost 2 whole seasons. Which is startling, to be honest with you, that it would even be that. I don't know, man, for the Jets, I can't see them winning this week. And the reset that you would call, when you get a new head coach, defensive-minded or whatever, you think you're just going to be playing sounder football. You may not win many games, but it's like the situational awareness looks terrible. They don't look like they've improved at all on defense. It was actually okay on defense last year. He's had no improvement. It feels like Sauce Gardner is falling off each week through his career, to be honest with you. And yeah, it's not a good place to be, is it, to be honest with you at all?
No, I've heard Sauce as a trade candidate. Reason basically being is he kind of wants to just follow people man to man and bump people and just be an aggressive man corner. Aaron Glenn plays a lot of off coverage, a lot of complicated plays in the secondary. And yeah, experts that follow the Jets and watch film and stuff, keep just highlighting that he doesn't really fit that defense. This is the defense. So either the head coach changes it and says, right, Sauce is going to follow people man to man, and then the rest of the people are going to play whatever coverage on the back end, or he might end up getting traded. But yeah, you're right. The defense hasn't looked great. Defensive line has been a bit weaker than you'd like it to be. And then the stat around Justin Fields is pretty rough. And Breece Hall as well keeps fumbling. Even though I want him to be a chief, he keeps fumbling every week. It feels like, which is a bit of a concern for the Jets offense. What about the Broncos then? Obviously coming on the road after a huge win against your team. You saw them play a lot closer than most people did last week. Should this game be an easy win for them? Could it still be tricky? Like, how do you think the Broncos will handle it?
It'll be tricky. It's international week. You're out of your schedule, aren't you? Most players will have never done things like that. When you're again, obviously, just said that about the Jets. Maybe this coming over to London will galvanise them, make them together, and make it a tough game. Obviously, Hicks, I still think, was actually quite bad for 3 quarters last week. He did have an exceptional fourth quarter, and to come back and to beat the Eagles, it deserved in the end. Obviously, he's still not quite there for me in his second year. I don't know what the ceiling is yet, to be honest with you. I'm not sure whether we're close to seeing that, to be honest. But run game needs to get better as well for them to be kind of a complete football team. But being realistic, they're probably not going to have that many issues, are they, this week in winning the game, to be honest. If they don't go and play down to their opponent, then they should be absolutely fine.
Yeah, it feels like the defense took a bit of a step as well last week. There was a couple of flags on Surtain, but he stopped AJ Brown on a couple of slants as well. Nick Benito looked really good again. So I think the defense is getting better. It's not the best in the league, like people, maybe even we said, but it's better, which I think is probably not a good sign if you're Justin Fields and the Jets. But I think you're right on Nix. He needs to probably start to look a little bit better for them to take that next step. At the moment, I think they'll contend for 6, 7, 8 seed. If they want to be a near division winner in a weird AFC West, he needs to play a little bit better than he is, but we'll see how it looks this week. Cool. Your turn to pick the spread. Like I said, it's Broncos -7.5 in London.
I'll have Denver. I think the defense will give the offense some fits over the game. Few turnovers. That stat frightens me to death as well. But I'll go Broncos. He's a big spread, and they're not a super high-powered offense, but they have got a good defense.
Yeah, they might score some points on defense, to be honest, this week. And you're right. I think in terms of winning the game, I think the Broncos will score 21 points. Justin Fields would probably have to beat that stat that you mentioned earlier to have any chance. I'm going to go Broncos as well. Jets has been really disappointing, so I need them to play well. I hope the Jets win, obviously, with AFC West, but also for Justin Fields. And Aaron Glenn seems like a good bloke as well. So I kind of do hope the Jets stay close and win, but can't be picking them on the spread at the moment. So I'm with you. I'll go for Broncos. On to 6 p.m. then. We've got one game we're going to spend more time on because it's a big game in the early window. I assume it's the Sky game. We've got Seahawks at the Jags. The Jags coming off, someone said, their biggest win in franchise history. That sounds crazy, but it might be true. They did win that Bortles playoff game against the Steelers. That was pretty good. But definitely the biggest win in this regime. They're favored at home as well against the Seahawks, who have played incredibly well the last 3 weeks. And they're favored by 1.5 points. So that's kind of Vegas saying that if this was a Super Bowl matchup, Seahawks are a better team, slightly. But the Jags are obviously at home, so they get 1.5 point advantage. I think this game could be quite fun. Could be similar to last week. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is playing anywhere near as well as Baker is, but I still think it could be a little bit back and forth. Big throws, big runs, maybe the odd silly interception like we had last week with Darnold. I feel like this game could be exciting for the neutrals and be pretty high scoring, mate.
Yeah, a part of me would be if you eliminate Kansas City versus Detroit, this feels like the biggest game of the week because Seahawks obviously have played well, but are looking at going 500 if they lose to the Jags, and the Jags will be going 5-1, which is an exceptional start going into London. So for me, huge game, huge implications. Biggest win in franchise history? No, they've been to 2 AFC championship games. However, the current regime, like you said, with Trevor Lawrence, for me, I put the other day, it was Lawrence's biggest win in his career. Someone said the comeback win against the Chargers, and I disagreed because no one even ever talks about that now. You don't feel like Trevor Lawrence is a guy that's going to do a big comeback in the playoffs. So that, for me, is not as relevant as this win was on Monday night against Kansas City. But this is an exceptional game. If Seattle can get the ground game going, which is a big if, then I think they've got a great chance in this game. However, the Jags seemed like under the new head coach are riding a great wave of buying in. I saw like a culture thing. I saw a video of after the game the other day, and the players look like they have really bought in to Liam Cohen. And I think that's an important aspect of sport that's not measurable. Do you know what I mean? That people actually buy in, and you can get players playing slightly above the level of where they've played previously. But Brenton Strange has gone on IR, and they're not deep at tight end, are they, at all? So
or receiver, really. They kind of throw it to the same 2 or 3 guys, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, and obviously Monday night was a couple of huge catches, which is maybe the variance of those catches and the percentages would maybe believe that they might fail a lot of times in the next week. So it's, it's up there for how good they are, but you can't say the franchise is not going in the correct directions. Yeah, great game this week. It feels quite pivotal, actually. Obviously, the Jags can lose and still have a good record, but you've got in the grasp of 5-1, and it's like, wow, that is a that's 1 foot in the playoffs. I don't care whether it's week 6 or not.
It would be annoying for them as well if you're a fan to be like, why is the year that we're this good are the Colts good? The Colts are never good. You'd be like, we probably kind of not won the division, but we've nearly won the division if we just win our home games now. Yeah. If you've already won, if you win 5 games, but how good the Colts are playing, it's the 1 year where they're like, okay, we probably have to. It'll probably go down to the Colts Jags games, to be honest, at this rate. Yeah, you're right. It's a good start. They definitely believe in Liam Cohen, and that's kind of where I wanted to go, really. Liam Cohen, one of the best play callers on offense this season and last season. Against one of the best defensive play callers as well. And it feels like the 2 head coaches who call the plays on their side of the ball going against each other might be the guys to decide this game. So McDonald's had an incredible season on defense. They didn't play as well last week, but they were injured. I think they had 4 defensive backs injured. Looks like 2 of those guys will probably come back. The other 2 are a bit up in the air. So for me, I think the coaching matchup is pretty cool, pretty important. And every time the Jags have the ball against Seahawks defense, I think it's going to be kind of, edge of the seat stuff. Watch what cool plays both sides come up with to try and beat each other. And then on the other side, again, I agree with you. They need to get the run game going. They need to keep Njigba going, but can we get any more plays in the middle of the field to a Cooper Kupp, to a Barner, to the tight end from Miami? That'll be important for them. And then weirdly, the Jags made a trade today. So they traded Tyson Campbell yesterday and a 6th and 7th round pick swap with the Browns for Greg Newsome. And I think Greg Newsome is slightly better personally, but he's out of contract this year. Yeah. Tyson Campbell, they just paid him for a 4-year deal, and they paid half of it already. So they paid him to almost not play for them. So I think that's a weird story long term, but short term, I'm not sure they'll be able to play Greg Newsome on short turnaround in this game. Maybe they will, but I'd be a bit concerned, and I'd probably be targeting throwing down the field if I was the Seahawks, because they're going to have a brand new secondary. Tyson Campbell was their corner 1. So I think that's a interesting season-long thing that they've done, but for this week, I think it could be a negative. So.
Yeah, if you're looking very, very short term, it probably is a negative. However, if you're looking at if you consider a season the long term, perhaps they've just got 5% better in the secondary, which when you've got a good record is what you need, isn't it, going later into the season? So I admire the swing, to be honest with you. I read a couple of things early this morning about Campbell and kind of just some loose plays he's had this season that have led to big gains from the other team. And I admire taking a swing, to be honest with you. I really do that from the Jags. So it's not like they sat at 1-4 and you're doing it and you're thinking, that's weird.
Waste.
Yeah, absolutely, just weird thing. But obviously Newsome, maybe they see him as just a short-term hire, or we'll see how he gets on. But I admire the swing.
Yeah, agreed. And I think as well, Newsome's played worse this year from the statistics, but the Browns have been bad and the offense has been bad. So I think that I've seen some Jags fans tweeting it about, some Browns fans tweeting how much Tyson Campbell's played better this year. But I think his stats are down because he's on defense every other 5 minutes because the offense is rubbish and turning the ball over. So I think with the Jags, you'll see Greg Newsome of last year, which is a really good player. But yeah, I agree with you. Biggest game definitely of the non-Sunday night football slate. Obviously, biggest game for the Seahawks for a little bit because I think the fans were quite hyped last week. Probably thought they were going to win at home against good Bucs team. Lose this, you go 3-3. they played really well, but they've not got the results to show for it in an NFC West that's going to be quite competitive. So yeah, it's a big game. Let's pick the spread. I'm gonna go for the road team, I think, with that change at corner. And to be honest, how good Jackson Smith and Jigba looks, I do think the Jags might give up another 150 yards to the Seahawks. So I think this will be a fun game. But I'll go Seahawks to win on the road. Not sour grapes, but it was the second luckiest win in NFL history last Sunday with how many points were lost from very silly things that one team did. So yeah, I'll go Seahawks. I kind of want them to be 4-2. I think that's what they deserve to be. I don't think they're
I'm going Seattle as well. I think this will be a really good game. Like I said, the variance on some of the huge throws maybe come back to bite you. So we'll see. I'll go this. I think it'll be a good game. I really hope it is a good game. I hope it's not one-sided either way.
Yeah, me too. Cool. On to Miami then. Chargers at Dolphins. Chargers are favored on the road by 3.5 points. I think Vidal might be the starting running back in this game, or Naheem Hines has now been signed for the Chargers. And obviously the Dolphins are going to be out without Tyreek Hill again, and coming off a pretty rough loss last week. Your turn to go first, mate. Where are you seeing this game? Feels like a must-win for the Chargers here.
Yeah, must win. Yeah, they are. This could be a stinking rotten game because obviously they also got Hassan Haskins running back as well. If you play fantasy football, there's been a lot of money spent on him and Vidal this week. Crazy money. He must be desperate, including me. No tackles, banged up. This is ugly. I'll have Miami and the points.
You still going with that picking bad teams strategy?
Yeah, I am. I'm not convinced on the Chargers in the last few weeks. That loss to New York really put me out.
Yeah, I'll go for the reverse jinx, and I'll go for Chargers -3.5. Don't want them to win for divisional reasons, but yeah, I can't be having the Dolphins. Although I do think the Dolphins' defensive line will probably get to Herbert quite a lot in this game, so I agree with you. It'll probably be an ugly one. And I'm sure you probably spent $50 on Vidal in our auction league as well, because your running back room was atrocious. So I'm sure it's you in our league that's probably picked him up. On to the Colts then. Obviously, one of the biggest stories in the NFL. They are hosting the Cardinals in Indy on Sunday, and they're favored at home by 6.5 points. I think it's pretty fair spread, actually. I thought it might be a bit more than that. Cardinals coming off an awful loss, very up and down season for Kyler Murray. Jonathan Gannon just got fined $100,000 by his own team for pushing a player on the sideline, which I don't know if you might have more of a hot take on it than me, but I'm glad they fined him because I know that you can be putting your hands on players like that. I think he went too far in that brief moment, even though it was obviously a stupid play. You're better off just cutting him than treating him like that, I think, in front of the rest of the team. But yeah, it's a big game for the Cardinals and Gannon to turn their season around. Another chance for the Colts to dominate a bad team. They've beaten bad teams all season. And it's me to pick first. So I am going to go Colts -6.5. I think if it was 7.5, I might still pick it, but I'd be a bit like, oh, this might not come in. But with 6.5, they seem to do really well against a bad team. So I think they'll carry on and win this game by a touchdown.
Yeah, I did say to you last week, one of the reasons I actually really like Indianapolis is because, you know, you beat the bad teams on the schedule, but they're beating them. They will put you away and you stay away. So I admire that. You know, I've seen that with successful Eagles teams in the past 5 years have been putting bad teams away. And so obviously you sway to that. You look now and you're thinking you're winning close one-scoring games. How good really are you? So it's like, no, you know what? And I expect him to put away Arizona this week. On the hot take thing, $100,000. Oh, that's a lot of money, isn't it? But I was like, I think I said to you on Monday, obviously, you can't put your hands on people on the sidelines and whatnot. You know, it's not the 80s or 90s or anything like that. Not that it's ever been like accepted, but it's like a man fighting for his job in a split second made a terrible decision. You can't do it as an NFL head coach. It's going to get blown up and it's going to be magnified. So he feels like he knows his job is on the line. Maybe not week 6, week 8. Maybe we're talking end of the season. You know, there's been no improvements and there's been no improvements this season so far. So I'm going to go Indianapolis and I think they'll put them away.
Yeah, definitely is under pressure. Definitely, for sure. Cool. On to Carolina then. So we've got Cowboys on the road to the Panthers. Cowboys are favored on the road by 3.5 points, so more than a field goal. They looked pretty good again on offense last week. Dak is arguably playing the best quarterback in the NFL. People say Baker, but Dak's not making any mistakes. Baker's still having those couple of throws, but it's one of the two. But yeah, Pickens looks really good. The run game still looks really good. And the defense looked better in the first half and then allowed the Jets to come back a little bit in the fourth quarter. And then obviously Panthers coming off a huge comeback win in week 5 as well. So this could be quite a fun red zone game, to be honest, where there's some cool highlights and some big plays and some stupid moments from players on the field. But it is you to pick first for your rival teammate for Cowboys minus 3.5.
I'll go Dallas. I can't believe Carolina have got 2 wins in 5 weeks, to be honest, when I've watched them play. I'll go Dallas. I know what you're saying about Dak. The only thing is I think they need to string some wins together in a row to make it feel more relevant. He doesn't feel particularly relevant at the moment, even though he's playing kind of out of his skin, even without CeeDee Lamb as well. Doesn't feel like we're talking about it in the upper echelons of, we're in week 6 now. People start giving out their MVP top 10 lists on Twitter or whatever, and he's like 7th, and he's probably not been 7th in play, but he's 7th in relevance because he's not been that relevant yet. Beat the Packers, and now we're talking a little bit more, aren't we? But so we'll see as the weeks go on. They got a decent schedule. I'd expect them to beat Carroll this week.
Yeah, I'm slightly dreading Dak on Thanksgiving, but we'll talk about that in future weeks. I'm with you. I'm definitely going Cowboys. Panthers, I don't think have looked that good. The comeback was pretty good last week, but I think that was more on the other team than on the Panthers themselves. And it just feels like we're in this weird zone where Bryce looks terrible for 3 or 4 weeks, looks good for a couple of weeks, and at some point they're going to have to make a decision on him one way or the other, probably the other. But yeah, I'll go Cowboys minus 3.5 as well. I think they'll probably score. I'm surprised they didn't score 27 points at minimum in this game, maybe in the 30s. And I don't think the Panthers will keep up, personally. On to New Orleans then. After letting my boy down and not picking him last week, Spencer Rattler's going for 2 wins in a row. And I've seen loads of clips this week of people being like, he's actually good and might be the Saints' future quarterback. And now I'm getting excited as a Spencer Rattler fan. But he's hosting the Patriots here. The Patriots are favored in New Orleans by 3.5 points. So it's quite a big spread for on the road for a team like the Patriots that are quite young. This should be quite a fun game, I think, if the Saints' offensive line can hold up. I think Alvin Kamara's hurt or being traded, depending what you believe. But yeah, big opportunity for the Patriots to come in and win a game on the road. But the Saints will be fancying themselves against an offensive line that's not played that well to cause a bit of trouble at home and see if they can sneak a win. So yeah, I think this could be maybe higher scoring and better for the neutral than maybe on paper it looks.
This feels like the classic, what you would call the trap game. You go and beat Buffalo, huge win under your quarterback's biggest ever win. Your brand new head coach has got a signature win for his new franchise. This feels like a trap game, to be honest with you. New England would take any victory in this game against a team who are playing pretty hard. I like Kellen Moore. I like what he's doing with New Orleans. He's not got a talented roster at all, and they're kind of making the best of that situation. So we'll see what happens with Kamara. I know you're desperate for Alvin Kamara. It's been on my timeline several times. But yeah, it's a tough game, and I'm actually really happy for Rattler playing well, making some great throws. I think it makes the draft pick. I know I hated it anyway, and I continue to hate it. It makes it look even worse. I mean, the guy, when's he going to see the field if Rattler's good when he's like 30? He's already like mid-20s. It's just like, it's not like he's a reclamation project, is it? Do you know what I mean? So
and I'm a bit biased, obviously, because I loved him in college. But in college, like the first 2 years, everyone would say Rattler's more talented then. It was just the third year was a bit hit and miss, threw a lot of picks, but the team was very bad in South Carolina. But it was just like, then people would have said he's more talented, and you still pick that player in the second round just because Spencer Rattler had 6 bad games? Well, not even bad games, but 6 games at the end of the season where the team had basically given up. It was, it's a very silly pick. They could have had a very good offensive lineman or weapon that would help Spencer Rattler.
Exactly, and that's the thing to kind of look at for decision making for the future. If you're going to be a bottom 8 franchise for the next couple of years, using your capital in a smart way is how you're going to get better. Right?
Yeah.
And is it me to pick first this week, or is it you on this game?
It's me to pick first for this game, and I'm not going to let my boy down twice in a row. So I'm going to go Saints plus 3.5. Rattler Hive, stand up.
I'm 100% going New Orleans. I think this is a really tough game.
They're playing hard, by the way. I didn't think Kellen Moore was the greatest choice, but through 5 weeks, they're playing super hard for him, and the offense is looking pretty good with the talent they've got. They're not talented, and he's calling a good offense. So yeah, I'll go Saints. You'll go Saints as well. On to a game that was going to be amazing, but isn't now. Rams at the Ravens. This is a big spread for the Ravens after last week's debacle. The Rams are favored by 7.5 points on the road. Lamar Jackson didn't practice on Tuesday or Wednesday, so he's probably going to miss the game. Looks like it will still be Cooper Rush. Hopefully it is, because I've got him starting in two quarterback leagues due to bye weeks. So I hope he plays. Yeah, Rams just need to win this game. Obviously, their fans will be wanting to win by 30 because that's what the Chiefs and Texans did. Just win this game on the road, keep momentum going, keep Stafford upright, play well. Obviously, the Ravens have done another trade as well where they got rid of Odafe Oweh to the Chargers, which we didn't talk about earlier, which is another interesting move. But yeah, it just feels like, man, until they get players back. Now, they might get a couple of them back this week, but not many. They got the bye week next week. I'm not saying they're deliberately going out to lose games because they're not, but it just feels like they're waiting and they're saying the AFC is weaker this year. We'll come back after the bye and we'll try and win 6 out of our next 7 games, get ourselves in the mix and be like one of the most difficult wildcard teams. But I don't give them much of a hope against the Rams in this one.
No, same here. You also can't, if they can get the bulk of these players back in the next few weeks, not this week, if you can do that, the division's still there because we're going to talk about Pittsburgh soon, right? And Cincinnati and Cleveland are not going to win the division. So it's still there if you can get them back and get on a roll. It's perhaps there. You perhaps have to win it with 9 or 10, and that's it. That's what's going to win you the divisions. This week, you know what you said about, the Rams are going to want to win big or whatever. Just win. You've got to the situation now. Your division's quite tough. The NFC's actually looking pretty tough at the top end. Just get out of there with a win, right? So I would do that. I'm going to go LA on the spread. I think that just makes sense.
Yeah, if they had a few more of the players back, even if it wasn't Lamar, I probably would risk the plus 7.5. But yeah, I'm going to go for the Rams as well. Feels like the offense looks really good with Devontae and Puka. They're both playing well, so if they stay healthy, I still think they'll score some, 30 points probably in this game. On to our last game then at 6 p.m. over to the AFC North with the leaders of the AFC North. We've got the Browns at Steelers. Steelers are favored at home by 5.5 points, which is a good little spread there. Steelers are currently not even the favourites, by the way, to win their division. Still, even though the Ravens are betting favourites. Ravens are actually the third favourite for the AFC title still.
Don't be ridiculous. Right. That's getting too far ahead now.
But yeah, Steelers will be hoping to win this game, obviously against the Browns team starting Dylan Gabriel against difficult defense on the road. It is me to pick first. I do keep picking the Browns plus points because of the defense. But I don't know, it just feels like on the road, this is a difficult defense for Dylan Gabriel to play. Aaron Rodgers is playing fine as well. Not great, but fine. And they're playing pretty good actually in the red zone. So I'll go Steelers minus 5.5. I've picked the Browns a couple of times. They've won me a couple, lost me a couple. But yeah, I'm just going to go for the Steelers. I think they're not the great team, but I'm one of the people that thinks they probably will win the division now, to be honest. But yeah, I'll go Steelers.
Tough one. 5.5. It's big, but it's not an overpowered offense, is it? I feel like the Steelers can put together a few big drives, a few kind of big plays with Metcalf and kind of get your touchdowns that way. It's a tough one, mate. I quite liked Dylan Gabriel last week. I think he looked all right. Do you know what I mean? He's first start in the NFL. He looked all right. So
yeah, Browns, aren't you?
I'm tossing up this week because obviously you have got the 3-1. They've got Browns this week. They've got Bengals next week, Thursday night football, which won't be easy. The Steelers have got it in the grasp. There's something about the Steelers with a 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers. I can't trust them. I am going to go Cleveland this week to keep it close. Somehow, the Vikings pulled it back in Dublin the other week to keep it super close. So I'm going that. I think they'll win Pittsburgh, but I'll go Cleveland on the spread. I can't trust them at the moment. And if Baltimore can get some players back, I'd fancy Baltimore on the catch-up to Pittsburgh, to be honest.
Yeah, all I say is if the Chiefs finish like 5 or 6 seed and the 5th seed and the Steelers, the team you play on the road in the playoffs.
Maybe that's
you feel quite good about that, even if you haven't won the division, to be honest. Cool. And just like Joe Flacco, we're going from Cleveland not to Cincinnati technically, but to the Bengals. Bengals at Packers. Joe Flacco will probably start here, which is hilarious. I'm not quite
sure. He is starting,
Yeah, I'm not sure that was the move. We were hoping for some Kirk Cousins somewhere, but we got Joe Flacco. The Packers are favored at home by 14.5 points against a team that's defenses look just as bad as Baltimore, even though they're healthy. And the offense being throwing picks all over the place. But Joe Flacco probably won't be as bad as Jay Browning, but will probably still be bad. He's been benched 2 seasons in a row, so I'm not quite sure what the point of this trade was. I think they should either traded someone better and really gone for it, or not bothered and just gone with someone else, a young guy off the street, or kept Browning, because it feels like this is a no-win move. But I don't want to spend too long on this game because it's a bit of
quite literally a no-win.
Yeah, it's only a win for the Browns because they got a pick swap and they weren't going to play him anyway. And now the Browns are also saying Bailey Zappi's back up instead of Shador, which is also a bit strange. But anyway, back to this game with Joe Flacco starting. Packers favored by 14.5, and it is you to go first, mate. You're going to pick Flacco. I can feel it in your blood. You want to...
Just being traded and being sent out there, Browning and Burrow have been smacked several times per game. So, no, it's a big spread. I don't think the Packers are as good as everybody thought they were, but it's massive spread. Cincinnati, give me Jamar Chase for a couple to cover 14.5.
I'm going to go for the Packers because I still think they are as good.
I think I might regret that, but
I think if they come out and have a good first drive, go 7-up, and then force a 3 and out, you feel quite good at that point. They got to score 22 points, uncontested. But you just need Flacco to play well with no picks, and you're going to be in with a chance. But if he's throwing picks and getting smashed like Jake Browning, then not good. He's gone from the worst offensive line in the league, by the way, from pressures to the second worst. So he's punching up slightly, but not much. On to another game then that probably looked good before the season, but is not going to look good on Sunday. Titans at the Raiders. Raiders are favored at home by 4.5 points. Is me to pick first. Raiders and Geno have obviously been very disappointing. I think the Titans have actually been pretty disappointing, but Cam Ward's played well, actually, but it's the rest of the team that really haven't. So I am going to go for the Titans on the road. Plus 4.5. Don't know why I'm picking that head coach, but I still think Cam Ward is a good player. So I'm going to go for Titans plus 4.5. But this game could be 37-34. It could be 16-13. I just don't know what this game's going to look like, but it's going to be some drama in the fourth quarter probably. So yeah, I'll go Titans plus 4.5 on the road.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same as you. Quickly, as you was talking then, I actually couldn't remember the Raiders' backup, and it's Kenny Pickett after a quick little Google.
Yeah, they did a little trade, didn't they, I think?
They did, yeah. They did a little trade with Cleveland, and I think to myself, Geno Smith is playing himself out of a spot there. Pete Carroll feels like he needs to win some football games. The whole organisation maybe feels like they should be winning more football games than they are. I don't think Geno Smith is nailed on for the rest of the season, to be honest with you, so he needs to pick his game up. But I'm going Tennessee this week on the spread. I think it'll be a close one, and ugly game on the schedule.
Ugly game, definitely on the schedule. Yeah, Kenny Pickett's not the worst backup either, so that doesn't help your cause if you're trying to stay in. I think if you're Geno Smith, yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, Cam Ward plays well in this game. I wonder if Pete's got a buyout like Big Bill over at UNC.
You could do 10 podcasts just on what Bill's up to over there.
Yeah, you could. On to the game. We'll spend a bit more time on that in the 9 p.m. window. Niners at the Buccaneers. Buccaneers are favored by 2.5 points at home, which is really good. They are getting a couple of defensive backs back, it looks like. The 49ers are obviously hurt, but are playing extremely well as well. Kyle Shanahan's calling a very good offense. And Baker Mayfield's playing very well, but they've won every game at the end of the game. They are winning big games, but they're not dominating games like they have at times in the last few seasons. So people are obviously thinking that luck could run out. But the 49ers will need to score some points, right? Because it feels like the Bucs offense with Igbukah, Bucky Irvin might play in this game, Rashad White, and then randomly the revival of Sterling Shepard. It means I think 49ers will have to score some points here. So I think this could be one of the highest scoring games of the week.
Yeah, 2-4-1 teams. Someone's going to have an exceptional record after this game. I think the Niners have really, really quietly had an exceptional start to the season based on their injury. Look, they've the backup played a couple of times. Yeah, Mac Jones has played well, but it's still your backup quarterback in the NFL. It's not what your plans is. They've been missing wide receivers. Kittle's been out most of the season, missing a few defenders. I think, do you know what? They've always been quite critical of Shanahan and found him slightly overrated as a head coach. Not a great decision maker, but this season they look like they're a really well-run franchise. You can always know that by how you cope with your injuries, right? When you're not bringing in anywhere near as talented players as you're losing. So I really respect him for that so far this season. Tough game this. Expectations feels like it's more on Tampa Bay than it would be San Francisco, which is always an interesting place when you place Baker Mayfield in that. He always is prone to, like at the end of the Eagles game, we threw a horrific interception. He is always prone to kind of doing that sometimes in his career, which has maybe stopped him going from the very good to the even better. So yeah, really fun game this, to the best of the 9 p.m. slate by a mile this week. So is it me to go first or you?
Yeah, this is best by a mile. It is you to go first. I was just going to mention that I don't know who's playing because I haven't checked, but the fact that Matt Jones looks much more comfortable than Purdy tells you how hurt Purdy is. And I think with how easy their schedule is and how well Kyle Shanahan's calling the offense, I would just play it cautious and just see how long you can ride it out for until he's back fully healthy. Something we always say about McVay and Shanahan as well, their fourth down decision-making is not very good. McVay is still bottom 3 in the league this year, which is funny for him. Shanahan's now top 3 in the league. He's been much more aggressive. He's gone for a lot more on 4th and 1 and 4th and 2. He's not trusted the kicker, rightfully so, which he's trusted before, and they've missed 4 field goals in a game, and he still kicked it. Feels like he's just taken a bit of a step forward in decision-making and being a bit more aggressive, which is good. But it is you to go first, with Bucks favoured by 2.5.
I'm going to go 49ers on the road. I like them.
Oh, wow. Peek behind the curtain. Sometimes when Patrick's talking, I guess what he's going to pick, and I type it in. And I typed in Bucks minus 2.5, and now I'm having to change it. I was wrong. I am going to go for the Bucks minus 2.5. I think Baker's playing really well. I agree with you though that he does have those crazy moments, let's say, where he makes big mistakes in big moments. But I'm not sure he'll do that in this game. So I'm going to go for the Bucks at home. On to Sunday Night Football then. Will I enjoy watching this at 4 a.m.? We will find out. Lions at Chiefs. You want to guess the spread?
Oh, tough one. I reckon it's going to be Lions minus 1.5.
Chiefs minus 2.5.
Is that the cornerback issue, I guess?
Cornerback issue, and I'm either extremely negative or extremely positive about the Chiefs. So, hey, let's put the positive out. The number one team in passing efficiency and success rate, and number one quarterback in the last 3 weeks is Patrick Mahomes. I think the offense is fixed. So I think that's probably why. I think it's 2 corners out for the Lions. Chiefs offense looking really good, and a game where they probably have to win, where I don't think the Lions really have to win. Again, if this was the Super Bowl, it would probably be maybe Lions favored by 1. Do you know what I mean? It's just the Chiefs are at home. Or maybe Chiefs favored by half a point or something like that. But yeah, Chiefs favored by 2.5. Chiefs definitely need the game more than the Lions. They did lose to the Jags, and I'm normally the most negative fan after a loss, but I think it was just a stupid loss. We all have those. I can't remember what the game was last year when we came on. There was an Eagles loss. They played someone terrible, and you were just like laughing of like, this is an awful loss, but it was like error after error. I can't remember. I think Jalen Hurts might have gone out with a concussion or something, and they were and they were winning by like loads of points. They lose, and it was one of those where it was just a stupid loss. I feel like that about Monday. I feel much worse about the Chargers and the Eagles loss than I did about that loss. I think it was just a stupid loss. But the Chiefs need to win the game. The Lions are officially number 1 in most people's power rankings now, by the way. They're best team in football, according to many people. I think this will be a good game. I don't really know what to expect. I think the Lions offense will be able to move the ball on the Chiefs, but I think the Chiefs will probably be able to move the ball on the Lions. It could be a who has the ball last, like it was on Monday night for me. I don't know how you see it as more of a neutral.
Yeah, could see some variance on some 4th down calls in this game. It's a shame that Detroit got both starting corners are out injured, so we're not going strength on strength. But it's the regular season. This is what happens, right? So it's interesting. But what you said is the Chiefs need this game. When you're 4-1, it's like any 4-1 team. You don't need the next game. It's okay. You're still at like you said about the power rankings, then you know me, I don't care about power rankings, but I've actually been looking this week because there is no number 1 team, is there?
Would you say the Lions are the number 1 team if you had to pick? I assume you wouldn't.
4 in a row, maybe. Maybe you just put the week 1 blip behind them and say they had an unprepared week and then they won 4 in a row quite impressively. Perhaps I would. Perhaps I would. I don't think I'd put Buffalo. I don't think I'd put Philadelphia. So, it's like it's a tough one, isn't it, this week? The Lions feel like a team when you've won 4 in a row, you can just kind of back it and put it there. This will be interesting. If the Lions get the run game going, which opens up the pass game and the play action and whatnot, I know what you're saying about the Chiefs, the offensive efficiency and the kind of the win rate and everything like that. The ability to keep up score-wise as well is going to be very interesting. Because we haven't seen it, have we? You don't get to 2 and 3 at the end of the day, do you? By not making some situational mistakes and things like that. So, which is what a lot of it boils down to when good teams have bad records sometimes. So it's an interesting game. It's probably more interesting than the Kansas City side because if it is a loss and you sat at 2 and 4, it's like this is you can't afford many more stupid losses in a season where then all of a sudden you're like, the Chiefs might be the best team in the AFC, but they're also the 6th seed. So, it's like, it's just one of those, feels like one of those years. So I think it's a really, really interesting game. I think it's perfect timing because the scheduling wise and how it's gone for Kansas City, I think this is perfect timing because the Lions may see this as a free hit and they're very open offensively, aren't they? They can kind of pull things on you. I know Dan Skipper, by the way, has been activated. onto the roster. Have you seen
So
that? So
catch a touchdown on
out wide, I'm sure, to absolutely infuriate you at 3 a.m. Loads of fun. Loads of fun. I think this will be a good game, and I think it'll be quite high scoring.
Yeah, I think it'll be high scoring as well. It is you to pick first, by the way.
I'll go Kansas City. I think win, field goal, a little more, maybe. I think they need it. You've got to have it. And when you've got to have it, a good team normally can get it done.
Yeah, I think it's Pat's at home. Says I thought you were going to go Lions there. I'll go for the Chiefs as well, obviously. I'm really impressed with the offense. It's just like you said, it's just these stupid... Every game there's been one stupid mistake on offense, and then the special teams has been a disaster for the Chiefs. So I think if they can clean some of that up, it'll be a close win. But it would not surprise me if I'm infuriated at like 13-0 down though on Sunday. Like, and they got to start fast. I don't think you can let the Lions get out ahead for sure. And then we welcome Rashid Rice back next week with open arms as a podcast. On to the Monday Night Football doubleheader, which we will not be staying up for. The first game, Bills at the Falcons. This could have been a fun game, but I'm not really in love with either team, even though I actually do think the Bills are better than people think. But I'm not sure. The offense has not been as good this season. You've harped on about the lack of weapon number one, and it's definitely showing up. Penix hasn't played great. Kirk Cousins hasn't been traded. So I think this is a bit of a weird game on a Monday night. Bills are favoured on the road by 3.5 points. I cannot be picking Penix versus Josh Allen, but I also would not surprise me if Falcons did win this game. It's a weird Monday night game, but yeah, Bills coming off good amount of rest. I'll go for the Bills minus 3.5, and Josh Allen plays better than last week and gets the win.
Yeah, I'm going the same. Obviously, Falcons early bye last week, but Penix is coming off the best game of his career the week before against Washington. Now, he was pretty good in that game, to be fair. He got a connection with Drake London going. Still go Buffalo. And as far as Monday night doubleheaders go, I think this is one of the better ones that you'll see. There's no silly West Coast games with bad teams or any Jets games. I think both these games have got some decent stories to them, so it's okay. Still, don't like doubleheaders on a Monday night. I'll have Buffalo.
With you. I think the second game is actually more entertaining. We've got the Bears at Commanders. I think Bears are coming off a bye as well, unless I'm wrong. But I think
Yep, they are, yeah.
Yeah, Commanders are favoured at home by 4.5 points, which is interesting. So more than 3, obviously. This is the Hail Mary game as well from last year, which is quite funny. This was the game that ruined the Bears season, almost, to be honest. Last week, Commanders will be hoping to keep the winning record going, and Jaden Daniels to continue getting better week on week. The Bears offense had a bit of joy as the weeks have gone on, and that connection between Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams is looking better each week. So I think this is quite an entertaining Monday Night Football game. 2 teams that want to make the playoffs. 2 teams that most people will have as wild card type teams, so they might be competing with each other for a spot. So it's actually a pretty important game for both teams. I could see it being high scoring. I'd like to see Jaden Daniels looking a bit healthier. I'd like to see Caleb Williams taking that next step and continuing to get better and not have a bad week against a Dan Quinn defense. I think this game could be quite good, mate.
I think one of the better games of the week because I think it's finally poised with Chicago being sat at 2-2. You've had your early bye, which I'm not a massive fan of, like as a fan of your own team, but schedule looks good coming up for the next few weeks. You've won 2 in a row. You've got a little bit of momentum. Washington, obviously, it all rides on Jaden Daniels, really, and he is looking banged up. Debo looks pretty good. He looks better than I thought he was. I'm not a massive fan of the defense at all, and I think it can be exploited this week if they can get a good game from Caleb, mistake-free and no really stupid mistakes, I would say. So it's actually a really fun game. I think that this deserves to be a solo Monday Night Football. I do think it's a lot of fun, and my God, they will want. I know it's a new head coach, but you said it might have ruined their season. It did ruin their season, the Bears last year. This took them into a spiral from point of the playoffs until a huge losing streak. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Who's it to pick first? You. Yeah.
Is it me? What's the spread again?
It's gone quite well. It's been you to pick for your division rivals both times. Commanders favoured at home by 4.5.
I'll go Chicago. That's quite a big spread, I think.
I love it. I thought you were going to go Chicago. I'm going to go for the Commanders to annoy any Bears fans listening. I'll go with the better quarterback in this game. I'll go for big Jaden, even though he does look hurt. You're right. I would like to see him looking a bit healthier than he does. But yeah, I'll keep it interesting and I'll go for Commanders minus. But if they win this game, the Bears, it's a big statement of how different this season's team is to last season's team. It could be a big moment for Ben Johnson after one of the more aggressive post-game speeches he gave 2 weeks ago. And that's it for our Week 6 preview. We have a few differences, actually, this week. We have 5 differences. So in the early slate, I've gone for the Chargers -3.5. Patrick's gone for the Dolphins +3.5. I've gone for, by the way, you've gone underdogs in every difference. I've gone for the Steelers -5.5. Patrick's gone for the Browns +5.5. In the 9 p.m. window, I've gone Bucks -2.5. Patrick's gone for 49ers +2.5. I've gone for Packers -14.5. Patrick's gone for Bengals +14.
Stinker, innit?
And then Monday night, I've gone Commanders -4.5. And Patrick's gone for Bears +4.5. So changing it up. He's going for the dogs.
Yeah.
So there we see. We'll see how you get on in week 6. But that's it for today. Everyone enjoy a pretty fun slate on Sunday and Monday for everyone listening. And we'll be back to discuss week 7, which again actually has some really good games. The slate's pretty good for the next couple of weeks. So yeah, enjoy your weekend, everyone. Go follow us on Twitter at Go for 2 Pod. Follow Patrick at Mugs NFL, and we will speak to you soon.
Speak to you soon, everyone.